Hi everyone, I'm back. It is approaching week 4, which will be on Monday. So I wanted to give an update on how my appointment went on Thursday. So the expectation for my appointment on Thursday was that they would be cutting the cast that I currently have off and angling it slightly upward as part of the phasing of the casting into a new angle, almost 90 degrees, not quite. So that's basically how the doctor visit went. When I was there, I was not able to see my doctor that's been seeing me, unfortunately, because he was on vacation this week, but I was able to see a PA, a physician's assistant, which they said, is still fine at this stage. So when I got there, they cut my cast off. It's the first time I ever had a cast, so the feeling was a little bit odd. They essentially take a drill and split the cast open. And of course, after they take it off, your ankle just doesn't want to move at all because it's just been in the same position for so long. So you feel like, what do I do? But I wiggled my toes a bit. They said don't move it too much, which is fine. So after they took it off, then the PA actually came in and just did a few series of tests. So what she did was kind of touched where she was expecting that the tendon would start to be growing back together. She said it felt really good. She said, if I haven't seen you before, so I'm not sure what to compare it against, but she said, I can really feel it coming back together really well, so we're on the right track. So that was very positive news for me to hear, and I was very happy about that. She also had me lay on my stomach and did the Thompson test again. So that test, just as a reminder, is when you lay on your stomach, you have your legs kind of in a 90-degree angle in the air as if you're doing like a hamstring stretch or something like that. And they squeeze on your calf to see if your foot reacts. So that's kind of how the tendon works, is that as you squeeze, your foot will kind of it's like nerves basically sending a signal to say, hey, step, walk, whatever. So fortunately, in my right, I still don't have that reaction yet, but she said, that's nothing to be concerned about at this stage. It's still really early, but she says that is one of the signs that, I think the healing part of that is progressing. So no signals yet, I guess you can say, but still in the early stages. So I just asked a few questions overall about the casting because I will admit that I'm just, a bit anxious somewhat about, when this phase is going to be over, when I can start doing more of the hardcore therapy to actually build the muscle up. So she said, I will be in the next cast for another 2 weeks, and just depending on how things go, it's hard to really say you'll be in this cast for exactly 6 weeks and the boot for exactly this week. So I think it really just depends on how the tendon heals. But if I remember, the expectation was that the casting would go on for 6 weeks. And so I'll be at 2 weeks at this still slightly plantar flex, but it's very, very subtle. To me, it almost feels like it's at 90. And then I think another casting phase of essentially at 90. And then after that, the boot comes on, which she says could be another 4 to 6 weeks. So still quite a long ways to go, but good to hear that there's progress being made. So just a few things from this that I've observed. One, when being recasted. So this was actually a bit more painful, I think, because the foot has been pointed down for so long. And I'll put up pictures at the end of the differences. But trying to move that foot up to actually cast it, it hurt a lot. It felt like it was just being stretched too much. But I think this is just the normal of having something in a certain position for so long and then having to move it and just feeling that tension. So that's something just to think about in balancing. There's always just a healthy amount of stretch and an unhealthy amount. It's hard to really tell. I was very tense and I was like, I think, this is this is the normal feeling. So just kind of be wary of that. Trust your body, trust your instincts as in everything. So that was kind of part of my casting phase. I did notice, so for this round, my cast just seems a bit more uncomfortable. A different person casted it that did last time, so maybe it's just a difference. But the cast is a bit higher. It's probably only like 1 centimeter to 2 centimeters higher up on my leg, But it does make a difference, especially in me having a scooter and just feeling the differences overall when I'm elevating my leg. And so unfortunately, I feel like the back of it is actually almost rubbing up against my thigh, which is a little bit uncomfortable. And then as well, when actually putting it on the scooter, because it's so high, it's just, I barely have any of my knee to really cushion on it. And so the cast is actually pushing on my leg. So that's a bit uncomfortable. And it's not that it doesn't feel loose, but it does, I just do kind of feel a bit more of like a stretch kind of like in the front of my ankle area. And I think usually the first few days that's normal because it's in a new position, but I am just going to kind of keep a watch on that as well. But on the positive side, it is nice that my foot is not kind of almost completely pointing at this down angle, so that even if I'm just doing the simple task of standing, I feel like I can barely balance because I have this ballet point on my foot. So it is nice to be a little bit closer to 90, but the weight bearing did not change. So it's still 25% weight bearing, which is essentially nothing. It only helps, to put your toe on the ground as you're crutching. So that's kind of where I currently am now. So I have another appointment scheduled 2 weeks from Thursday. And so I will be seeing my original doctor again, and we'll see where things go from there. Just general other updates. I think, the week 2 hurdle, I can't say, if it's the hardest, if it's not the hardest, whatever. But I will say, because just as a reminder, it's not only a physical healing, it's a mental healing as well. And I have a little bit more just been feeling like, wow, like this is going to be a really long journey. And people have said that to me, the Achilles is just a tough one, and it takes a while. And I've been through the injuries that do take a while, but the Achilles is just a bit more tough, I think, because it's not like with the knee where you can start weight bearing early and really start building those muscles. You're essentially almost completely immobile. I mean, you're just swinging one leg around, can't take one step without having some type of assistance, whether it's a crutch or whether it's a scooter or whether it's just crawling. So I just still have to think about the light at the end of the tunnel. The casting phase is only 6 weeks, and then there's a boot afterwards, but at least with the boot, I'll be walking. So just as kind of words of wisdom, try to just find constructive things to do that you've been putting off for a really long time, and you have a lot of idle time, and you may not be able to hang out with your friends as much as you normally had, but just don't be a bump on a log, because that's only going to make you kind of feel more removed from society, essentially. So I don't know, for me, my friend had sent me a budget template a long time ago that I had just never filled out. So I said, hey, why not? Let's give this a try and just see how this process is going to work. Just doing some more reading, just catching up on stuff. So just try to keep your mind as busy as you can during this time and make the best of it. Okay, so if you have any other questions or want to hear anything else, let me know. Thanks for listening.